Hello, I'm David Boelzner, one of the lawyers in Goodman, Donnelly's Veterans Practice Group. I'm going to speak for a few minutes about service connection. Service connection is the initial target of any claim for disability compensation benefits because you can't get benefits until you can show what VA calls service connection. That is an association between your disability and something that happened in service. Service connection is often referred to as having three elements, but a better way to think of it might be as three links in a chain. The first link or element is that you have to prove that you have a disability as VA defines it. VA compensation benefits are intended to make up for the reduction in your ability to do ordinary activities, and particularly activities related to work, because of the disability you got because of your military service. So they're intended to compensate you for the reduced earning ability that you have. So the disability needs to be something that impairs your ability to do activities, especially activities of work. It can be almost anything, physical or mental or psychological limitation, as long as it impairs you, and it doesn't have to be totally disabling. There are a few sorts of conditions that VA does not recognize as disabilities because they're considered to be sort of part of you from the beginning, inherently part of you. Birth defects, for example. If you have a defective heart valve, for example, you won't be able to be service connected for that. Similarly, a personality disorder, if you've been diagnosed with that, VA doesn't consider that to be a compensable disability. You need to bear in mind, though, that diseases, even if congenital, can be service-connected, and very often diagnoses of personality disorder are revised in later years to PTSD or schizoaffective or some other condition. So if you have a condition like a birth disease or a personality disorder, don't necessarily give up. Get some more information because you may still have a claim. VA also does not recognize subjective complaints of pain. The pain has to be attributable to some sort of cause. Assuming you have a disability, the next link in the chain is proving an event in service that's relevant to your disability. Several types of things can qualify for that. One is, the most obvious probably, is an injury that happens to you while you're in service. Doesn't have to be associated with your military duties. It can be a basketball injury during your spare time in service, as long as it happened during service. An example would be injury to the knee that later results in, say, arthritis coming along in that knee sooner than it otherwise would have. That can be service-connected. Another qualifying event is the initial onset of a disease. If the first symptoms appear during service, that will allow you to establish that condition as service-connected. Even if you have a pre-existing condition, you had it when you went into the military, if the condition was made worse, aggravated, in service, you can be service-connected for it, and VA will compensate you for the additional disability that happened because it got worse. The third link in the chain, and is the most crucial one, is that ties the other two together, is what we lawyers like to call a nexus, or a connection. That is a causal relationship between what happened in service and what you now have in the way of a disability. Not always, but most of the time, this evidence of nexus will come from a medical person of some sort, a doctor, a nurse, a healthcare provider, because it requires an expert assessment of your condition and what's causing the condition. There are a few obvious sorts of things, fractures, gunshot wounds, that can be shown to be related to service just by non-expert testimony. It's also possible to establish the linkage by showing continuous symptoms of the condition from the time of service through the present. You can establish the linkage that way for some conditions. Each of these three links or elements has to be proven with evidence. Although VA has the duty to help you get certain kinds of evidence, you need to bear in mind that it is the claimant's responsibility to pull together the evidence that shows that these three things or to prove these three things to establish service connection. But if you can construct that chain, you'll qualify for disability compensation based on how severe your disability is. Veterans claims issues can be complicated, and we are always happy to answer questions. Whether we can represent you or not, we are happy to look at your issues and talk with you about what's going on. And so please do feel free to get in touch with us either through the website or by telephone, and we'll be happy to help you.